Pony Tales. Read by Scribbler. Monsters by RarityEQM. The monsters had entered the house earlier than Diamond Tiara had expected. Oh, they tried to be quiet, tried to sneak in under the cover of night while the moon was shining high over Ponyville and the town was awash in silence. But Diamond heard them anyway. She always heard them, and they never really stayed quiet for long. In reality, she had been waiting for them. Sleep had been impossible, knowing full well these creatures were coming. These hideous things that crept into the house after her parents had left for the evening to attend a party down the street. And once they were in the house, Diamond knew there would be no salvation. She was doomed. At first, she had tried to defend herself. She had immediately shielded herself under the impenetrable protection of a blanket, guaranteed to ward off spooks, spirits, monsters, and creatures of the darkness. Every foal knew about the power of a blanket, but its legendary stopping power had no effect on the creatures. Every night, they seemed to grow stronger and stronger, crashing into things and crying out, louder and louder still. It started like it always did, hushed murmurs and low moans raising up through the floorboards. It was the darkness, Diamond was sure, that caused all of this. The monsters never attacked in the daytime. No, there was something about the night that seemed to draw them out, to siphon them into existence from some horrible demonic dimension. That was the only explanation, and try as she might to blot them out, Diamond could still hear them. They were getting louder.
This to me again! Is it too much to ask? You go one night without getting completely trashed. Is it that hard to keep your damn hooves off the rum? Whole town thinks you're a drunk, you know.
As if I gave a rat's tail about what any pony else thinks.
And what about our daughter, huh? Do you care what she thinks?
Our daughter? Our daughter, mister, work 14-hour days? I'm the only one raising that little misfit. Don't even pretend you care. You can't even remember her own God-forsaken birthday.
Talking with you when you're like this is a waste of time. Talking with you, period, is a waste of time. And it's in November, you harlot.
See? You don't even know a goddamn thing about her. It's in my...
She shut them out, let the darkness drown their voices, the way she wished the darkness could drown her. She wished she could just fade away. Just disappear with the night when the morning sun drifted down onto Ponyville. She wouldn't even miss her stuff. The giant plush bear in the corner the butler won at the town fair. The closet filled with brand-name clothes and cashmere sweaters. The candies and treats adorning her dresser on the far side of the room. The biggest one was the unopened bag of chocolate nuts Daddy had brought back with him on his trip to the jeweled desert across the sea. He had been gone for 2 solid weeks and returned to Diamond with a pat on her head and a bag of nuts. She was allergic to peanuts.
I'm still with a pony like you. I could have been a success if you hadn't knocked me up. Do you know how famous I could have been if it wasn't for the two of you?
Do you think I like having to support you, huh? What do you think I spend so many hours at the office? Because this is what I get when I come home. And where does my money go? Where does it go? Booze, clothes you don't deserve, all that jewelry. I swear, if I wasn't trapped here because you couldn't remember to take a frickin' pill.
There were stories about monsters under the bed. Diamond had heard the other kids at school talking about them. Horrible, terrible things that grabbed fillies with long, vicious tentacles and dragged them into the shadows. Of course, there hadn't been a recorded attack in almost 600 years, but Diamond tossed her torso over the side of her bed anyway, tentatively peering into the gloom under the bed's frame. There was nothing there. No horrible nightmare to drag her into the abyss. Only a small legion of dust bunnies and long-lost toys greeted her gaze. She felt something shudder inside of her. And snap.
Like you ever loved either of us. It's all a lie! Another business deal!
That's right, because you love her so much. Teach me, oh grand and wonderful teacher, show me your secrets.
Her mouth was dry. Like a magic trick, every ounce of moisture had vanished from her lips, only to reappear in her eyes, to race down the slopes of her cheeks. She spilled out of her bed on jelly legs and lay quietly on the floor. Her blankets and sheets held no comfort. She wanted to go somewhere. Celestia, please, take her anywhere but here.
Saw you looking at that cheap skank. I saw you, you bastard. The hell does Al have? I don't, huh? Do I need a Brand's accent to make you want me?
Sweetie, I wouldn't want you if you were made out of gold and spit rubies.
She pulled herself across the floor to the closet sitting adjacent across from her bed. There, she tucked herself inside and closed the door. In the infinity of the darkness, she found the bellowing monsters below were slightly muted. Horrible screaming turned into muffled shouts, and she huddled quietly in the corner, reveling in her newfound solace while hugging her knees. After a few moments, Diamond perked a curious ear. No, she could still hear the monsters screaming below her, but she couldn't make out what they were saying. As her eyes adjusted to the darkness, she could make out the gentle glint of glass sitting in her closet with her. Bottles. 9 of them, to be precise. Bottles that she had taken and hidden from Mum. Bottles of that stuff she wouldn't stop drinking. Bottles that helped to turn her into the thing that was downstairs. She grabbed one in her hooves, looking it over. In the gloom, she couldn't make out the label, but it didn't matter. All she knew was that Mum wouldn't stop. Couldn't stop. And the only way life would get better was if Mum did stop. Maybe Diamond could change things if she hid the bottles and limited her mother's intake. Maybe if she hid enough of them, Mum would get tired of spending money on them. And maybe Mum would stop guzzling the stuff down. Maybe they could be a family again. Maybe, if she tried hard enough. She popped the top off one of them and brought the opening to her lips. She winced. It smelled like poison and tasted like death, and she gagged. How did Mum do it? Mum suckled it down like it was water, like she couldn't live without it, even though it burned at her sinuses and was acid across her tongue. Mum survived with it. Maybe, if only Diamond could understand. Maybe if Diamond could see things from Mum's point of view. Maybe she could help. Maybe she could figure out a way to fix things. Maybe she could save her family. Celestia, please. She took a deep breath and quietly swallowed another mouthful. Diamond Tiara didn't come to school that day, which, while odd, was not something entirely unheard of for Silver Spoon. She had an inkling of what might have happened, and spent most of the day staring idly out of the window, or at the empty desk beside her. When school had finally let out, Silver Spoon raced down the path towards their hangout, carrying in her mouth a list of activities that Diamond Tiara had missed during the day. She ran past the Cutie Mark Crusaders and past the cute boys from the Pegasi school above them. None of it mattered. At long last, she found Diamond Tiara sitting silently under the huge tree up on their hill, the one just overlooking the town, and, most importantly, Sugar Cube Corner, which made the hill smell like cookies all the time. Their special, personal, secret hill, where they shared the deepest of secrets with one another, and no pony in the world could hope to shatter the solace it gave them. Slowly, Silver crept up to Diamond, biting her lower lip in nervous apprehension. Something bad had happened. Rumour had it that Diamond was sick, throwing up all day or something. But Silver Spoon could guess that it was more than that.
Monsters again?
Silver asked quietly, wincing as the question tumbled from her lips. Teary-eyed and tired, Diamond glanced over at the pony sitting next to her and bit at her lower lip. It was all Silver needed to see.
Is that my homework?
Don't worry about it,
Silver whispered. Diamond nodded and stoically leaned against her only friend in silence. And gently, Silver Spoon leaned back.
November is anti-bullying month. Bullying is something that affects so many people, kids, teens, and adults. It is insidious and a problem on both sides of the equation. Some people say that people who are bullied need to toughen up. That's not true and is a very short-sighted way of looking at the problem. Some people think that bullying is just a fact of life, or a rite of passage, and they don't take it seriously unless it personally affects them or someone they care about. You can't just write off bullying that way. To ignore a problem is to perpetuate it. 1 out of 4 kids in school are bullied. Every 7 seconds, a child is bullied. Up to 43% of students in school say they've been harassed online by bullies, those they know in real life, and anonymous trolls. 9 out of 10 LGBT people experience harassment at school. Some victims are so tormented that suicide becomes an alternative. While there are usually other factors involved, bullying can be the tipping point for a lot of people. Workplace bullying is a growing problem as schoolyard bullies become adults. Being a bully can mess up a kid's future. Bullies are more likely to skip school, drop out of education, smoke early, drink excessively, and be arrested at some point in their life. 60% of boys who were bullies in middle school had at least one criminal conviction by the age of 24. 8% of students miss at least 1 day of class per month for fear of bullies, and the anxiety of being bullied can lead to exam failure as victims are too unfocused and distracted to concentrate on their studies, something that can seriously affect their future. A very small number of bullied children might retaliate through extremely violent measures. In 12 of 15 shooting cases in the 1990s, the shooters had a history of being bullied. So why do bullies bully? Understanding how and why a bully uses aggressive behavior is key to knowing how to handle the situation. A common reason that a kid is a bully is because he or she lacks the attention from a parent at home and lashes out at others for attention. This can include neglected children, children of divorced parents, or children with parents under the regular influence of drugs or alcohol. Older siblings can also be the cause of the problem. If they've been bullied, they are more apt to bully a younger sibling to feel more secure or empower themselves. And we cannot rule out the fact that an adult role model can be a bully. This can include parents, teachers, coaches, etc. Very often, parents who are bullies are angry or don't handle conflict well. Kids usually bully because they learn this behavior at home. It is learned behavior which can be unlearned. Some kids are just more aggressive, dominating, and impulsive by nature. It doesn't always mean that they are bullies. Bullies dominate, blame, and use others. They lack empathy and foresight and have contempt for the weak. They see weaker kids as their targets and don't accept consequences of their actions. They crave power and attention. Bullied bullies get relief from feeling helpless and overpower others. Social bullies have poor self-esteem and manipulate others through gossip and being mean. Detached bullies plan their attacks and are always likable to everyone but their victims. Hyperactive bullies don't understand how to socialize and act inappropriately and sometimes physically. Most bullies don't understand how wrong their behavior is and how it makes the person being bullied feel. No matter what kind of bully someone is, they have not learnt kindness, compassion, and respect. Bullies don't need a reason to hurt others. When asked, some replied, because it makes me feel stronger, smarter, or better than the person I'm bullying, because I'm bullied at home, because it's what you do when you want to hang out with the right crowd, because I see others doing it, because I'm jealous of the other person, because it's one of the best ways to keep others from bullying me. Whatever the reason, bullying is not cool. It's mean. Whether we've done it ourselves, or we know others who are doing it, it's important for us to understand that bullying is serious and has harmful effects on people's lives. Maybe it's not happening to you, but it could. And more importantly, it is happening to someone. We must not ignore the problem of bullying as just a fact of life or a rite of passage. Bullying, whatever the age and whatever the reason, is never okay. Victims, bullies, witnesses, we are all human beings and we all deserve respect. We deserve the respect to live our lives free from fear. We deserve the right to compassion from others. We deserve to have someone ask us, "Are you okay?" and to feel that we can answer truthfully. We deserve to know that if we are trapped in a cycle of wrongdoing, someone will listen if we try to break out, or will care enough to help us break the cycle even if it is hard, or if we resist them because the cycle is all we know. We deserve all this and more. Bullying. It's not just a word. Speak out.